Schooling is a difficult problem to solve. Each family member and each student have their own set of circumstances that make learning either easier or harder for them on an individual level. And I don't know your situation, but I do know that there are two different types of ways that I have learned that make it more or less effective for me. One is proactive learning and one is reactive learning. So what is a proactive learner? A proactive learner is someone who goes out of their way to learn something they don't know. A reactive learner is someone who learns something because it's required of them in order to avoid the fear of failure. And here in capitalism USA, people who are proactive about their lifestyle and their choices usually are more successful under the ideas of capitalism. So how do we make proactive students? How do we make them thrive in the capitalistic nature that is our society? One potential answer might be Sudbury schools. Sudbury schools are divisive. They are gatekeepy, they're expensive, and they aren't very much researched on the effectiveness of what they do. A Sudbury school is a school where the children are the government agency. The children set forth the plan and the things that they want to learn. There's not a real big structure, and it's all ran by the child and by what they want to personally learn. If you or your child is already an active person in society and already a proactive student, then they might thrive in a Sudbury school. But a Sudbury school might not be a measure of success. Because it's so gatekeepy and because it's expensive, only people who are affluent who are able to sign up for these programs and go into these types of schools would succeed. And we know from lots of research that it's wealth that usually determines if a child will succeed or not. I would say if you want to join a Sudbury school, then be cautiously optimistic. Be a skeptic, look at it and see if it works for you or your child. One thing that has been studied is homeschooling. Homeschooling has a lot of caveats, that being you need the resources and the time commitment in order to coach your child through said situation. But I'm not a student anymore. So how does this apply to me? Well, let me give you two examples of how this would apply to you. The first example is one of the myriad of people that I have taught programming. What I would do is I would sit them aside and say, hey, you need to think of a problem that needs to be solved. You need to think of something that you need in your daily life that could be solved with technology. So we set them aside, we give them a little project to do, and then they have to figure out how to accomplish that problem. And it's through solving that specific question that they had that made them learn something that they wouldn't have otherwise done so. And it gives them the skill that they need in order to apply for the position of a junior developer. Setting aside time for yourself to problem solve things that are challenging to you will help you overcome being a reactive learner and will make you a proactive learner. But what if I want to learn a skill that takes years to do? Well, let me tell you about the other half of the equation. If you look at my past couple of videos and live streams, you can see that I've been learning Japanese recently. Now, I took an entire year in high school to learn Japanese and half a year in college to learn Japanese. I remember nothing except how to count to 10, but I was a reactive learner rather than a proactive learner. So how can I turn this skill that takes years to develop and make it so that I can do it myself? It comes down to 3 key ingredients. 1 is motivation and goal setting. 2 is accountability. And 3 is a system. For me, accountability and goal setting were one and the same. I told my family and my friends and all of you that I was learning Japanese and that in 3 years I wanted to go to Japan to be fluent and to be able to speak and enjoy the culture in its fullest. So that gave me a goal to work towards and someone that I was accountable to in order to achieve that goal. But motivation does not last forever. It doesn't even last until tomorrow. Sometimes it doesn't even last for 15 minutes. That's where the system comes into play. I set aside a system where every day I would learn just a little bit more about Japanese. And it's that everyday system that will keep me on my track to fluency. Now, this system is something that is ever evolving. That makes it so that I can keep up with it, But as long as it's been done every day and I'm working towards that goal, then I know that I can accomplish it. Whether you're in school right now, you have little children that you're trying to send off to school, or you're retired and just want to do whatever with your life, I recommend being proactive about your learning instead of reactive about your life. Bye! I wonder if I say subscribe and like, if that will glow or not.